the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rangers Assessment right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It is always a pleasure to be your host as always, and I am always delighted to be joined by Scott Young.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, mate.
I was thinking, obviously, like we're going to cover the Panathinaikos game in a bit of detail. It's been about 4 or 5 days, so we've kind of had a bit of time to assess it. I've watched it back twice, so I kind of have a few things I was going to get your thoughts on. We'll obviously get into Middlesbrough as well, where I haven't watched that back twice. I've seen it last night and I've got my thoughts on it. And we'll talk a wee bit about kind of potential transfer incomings and a wee bit of kind of off the field stuff as well. Let's get into Panathinaikos. Tuesday night, Rangers' competitive season got underway. A first win for Russell Martin, 2-0 at home. I would have taken that at the start of the game, would you not?
I would have taken it at half time, definitely.
I would have certainly taken it at half time, yeah. I would have taken it.
But before the game,
long.
I think we said on here, just any form of, I think 2 goals always a dodgy one.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know how to set up in the second leg.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you go for the third and kill the game, or you sit back and try and defend your 2-goal lead. But if they get an early goal, they've got momentum and that kind of thing. But I think we'll get into that. We'll speak more about the second half because I've got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got thoughts on the whole game, but we'll start with the kind of team news. Pretty much the team I was expecting. I didn't think, I wasn't surprised when I seen it. The only thing I was a wee bit surprised about was when I kind of saw the team in the early stages where Raskin and Diamandi, the way they were shaped up. I thought that was interesting. You could see quite early on, particularly with Raskin, I think he found it a bit difficult to get into. I thought second half, particularly, I think when it was a bit more narrow, I think we did see that when Gassama came in and Igaman came on the other side. I think you did see a wee bit of a narrow midfield that I thought maybe helped him a bit more. I'm interested to see how that develops over the season. First 20 minutes, though, it was very much what you were kind of expecting. It was a team who'd kind of not really had enough time to get into shape. And Panathinaikos, I think they're okay. I don't think they're world beaters. I certainly don't think they'll be the hardest team Rangers will come up against if they get through. I actually think either Servette pulls in or even the other, the Europa, like Besiktas, Shakhtar, yeah. I think they will give Rangers a tougher test than Panathinaikos. But Rangers certainly gave them opportunities to get to Greece with a lead because there was about 4 or 5 times where just slack passing that you just can't get away with. And I said that I was sitting that to somebody next to me. I said if a better team are going to rip Rangers to shreds, if that becomes a kind of frequent thing, I put it down to just an early stage of a kind of different system. That is way different to a lot of these players have played before, particularly the guys that have been there already.
Yeah, this is like Tav's never been an inverted fullback in his life. Aaron's never been a left back in his life.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that as well, but I'll let you get into it first.
On the left hand side was very questionable.
Yes,
that was kind of saw that with a lot of players. Like Suter's a right footer playing on the left. Jigger's a left footer playing on the right. Raskin's a right footer playing. Raskin's right foot on the left. Diamandi's a left foot on the right. I'm trying to get words right here. Curtis is a right footer playing left wing. Dill is a left footer playing the right. So that's obvious. That's obviously deliberate. Like
yeah,
the fact that it's all throughout the team. That's obviously what Russell Martin wants from his team. But as you said, I think it will take time to gel, and also there will be I think it's one of the teams we'll look back in January, February time, and look at this team and how different it is to the team it will be in January, February.
I'm even going to maybe even September. Yeah, exactly.
Aye. Well, we've been with a good few right wingers, so it's clear that's a position.
We'll save that for the end.
Saki.
Yeah, save that for the end. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things just at the kind of start. I think the inverted fullback thing is something we could probably spend an hour on because you know how I feel about that. I think there's a lot of managers, particularly the kind of managers with a process, a kind of structure of play. I would throw Martin in that. I saw that a bit with Middlesbrough on Saturday as well. They're inverted all the time. And I'm interested to see how that was. Ange at Celtic was a perfect example where he had Johnson and Taylor who were just... Johnson was so energetic. Taylor was very technically good in the ball, not the best defensively. So I'm wondering what's going to happen there if it is Aarons and another at left back, if that is the kind of long-term plan, what the kind of structure is with that. The good thing with that is, though, it opens you up and it gives you another body in midfield when you have the ball. It gives you another option because I felt too many times last season Raskin, Barron, whoever it was getting the ball in that kind of sitting position and there was no ball available.
No.
And having inverted fullbacks can help that. And if you're having a kind of process where you're having inverted fullbacks and you've got wingers who can kind of use the space and use the kind of bylines well, it does give you more bodies in the kind of middle of the park, where particularly with low blocks, you're going to need that. You're going to need that. And I'm not saying I'm a tactical genius or anything like that, but that was one of the early things I noticed by these inverted fullbacks is when your kind of midfielders have the ball, there's two extra bodies. And yes, there's a lot of space in behind. I get that. And if it goes wrong, you're in a lot of trouble. But that's how patterns of play. That's how you have to kind of get them coached in. That's what that's going to need to be. I was encouraged. With that. I think that will take a lot of time. I think there's a couple of players all at the club now who I just don't see fitting in. Jeffy for one.
Yeah.
I think he's a complete bomb scare in that regard. I don't know what you think. We'll maybe touch on that with the Middlesbrough game, but I think inverted fullbacks is something we're just going to need to get used to.
Yeah. I think with inverted fullbacks is an interesting talk point. I don't think it worked against this. I don't think it worked, especially first half.
No, it didn't.
Purely because of the wingers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're inverted fullback, you've got Tav and Aaron's or how's his name, Miller Park. We had no width in that first half because Kieran Dow's no winger. Curtis, I'm not sure yet. He's very young, very raw. He looked very much out of his depth in the first half because he was the only real wide option.
He's an 18-year-old. I can give him that.
Yeah, he's 18. Yeah, I'll forgive him that. Kieran Dow can't defend, but we'll get on to him.
Yeah.
When you if that is Gisama, Cortez, or the new winger we get, whether that's Rick Saki or Ant-Man or whoever else, like when they are natural wingers who are fast and can beat a man. When you have them high and wide, that makes it work so well. Like, we're going to keep going to Celtic and Aaron Ange because that is the template for inverted fullbacks in Scotland.
It's what I think the kind of process is. It's what I kind of want to see Martin do. It's what I think Martin will do.
They had Maeda, they had Jota, they had all these wingers out wide, and they were all fast, talented, and technical.
Abada,
yeah. Oh God, Abada, Christ.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name ever again. But yeah, they had these high, fast wingers, and that's where it works because we had no width in that first half.
No.
Kieran Dow was not a winger, but he didn't look like he wanted. He was playing out of position, but he also didn't look like he wanted to be there. Like he was. I'm right. I'm top of the Govan. So Kieran was right in front of me that entire first half, and I barely saw him move. He was about 5 yards into their half, and he didn't really run to give Tav a ball down the line. He didn't really track back and help him. So Dow did not help Tav whatsoever going forward or defensively that first half. And we saw it work a lot better when Gisama came on and Egerman came on. Okay, Egerman's not a winger either. But they're a lot quicker and they're a lot more explosive and they're a lot more energetic than Dill and Curtis were.
The only thing I can remember Kieran Dill really doing in the first half was the header.
That was second half.
That was the second half. So that again,
Yeah,
it was the second half because it was in the quarter. Yeah, that's right. There you go. That proves it.
Exactly.
It was pretty much anonymous, and again, it was. I did think he would start just because I don't see anybody else there. I was kind of hoping we would have seen Asgard on Saturday because I do think that's where he will. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Asgard a lot in that position, particularly in Europe. In that position where you might need to play a bit narrower in certain games, you might have to use the ball better, you might have to. You might not get the opportunities to be as slack with the ball, and that was again kind of one of the kind of themes of the first half. Rangers were opened up 4 or 5 times, and we touched on goalkeepers last week, and I'd imagine we'll maybe touch on it during the season. Jack Butland, he looked like the old Jack Butland. There was about 3 or 4 times where he completely rescued Rangers, and that's what I want the goalkeeper to do. And I still think it's an interesting one because there were a couple of times where I was a bit nervy with the ball at his feet, but I think that's natural. I think I think if you're going to ask somebody to have the ball so much and they're not used to it, they're always going to be nervous. I think that's maybe us talking about it. I don't think it helped as well getting the way he was getting the ball sometimes as well.
No, that's what I was going to touch on. I don't think it helped that the fact that Tav was so bad on the ball, Suter was so bad on the ball, Aarons was so bad on the ball. That's 3 of the 4 in front of you. I thought Jigger played quite well, if I'm completely honest.
He looked okay,
that one moment in the second half where we get robbed. But apart from that, he was pretty comfortable the full game, I thought.
You can tell his physicality is going to be fine. Instantly.
If I'm a keeper and 3 of the 4 in front of me, you're struggling to pass the ball. I'm thinking, I'm a bit nervy of passing it to them. So that's playing in my mind as well. So I think whether it is new players in front of them or these players get used to being on the ball more, I think one of those 2 things have to happen for Butland or Kelly to be more comfortable with the ball at their feet. I think Butland will be first choice. I think we saw that. The fact he started this game and he played so well. But Kelly will play, like Kelly played on Saturday, Kelly will play the Alloa game, which came out today in the draw. So the keeper needs to have confidence in the players in front of him to be good in the ball.
Yeah, and I think, again, first half, I think a better team would have definitely scored at least one. Again, that's maybe a concern that we have, but that, again, it's something, more games, more minutes, we'll see if that kind of makes a difference. I wanted to touch on left back because there was obviously talk during the week of a link for Owen Beck, where I think the fee was pretty stratospheric. I don't see Rangers spending that in a left back at all. Even if there's a super one becomes available, I don't see that being a position that money gets spent on. No, you don't
need to spend that money on a left back.
You do need one though, because Ridvan, I think, there's reports today that he's close to going back to Besiktas, and Jefty's not good enough yet. I'm not saying he won't be. He's just not good enough yet to do that job. And I think Aarons can kind of deputise there to a point, but I thought the best thing about Aarons was what he did for the second goal, which we'll get into. I'd much rather see him in the side, and I thought Tav, again, when it went to a kind of back 3 at times, Tav was pretty good in that side. Aarons has been brought in to be a right back. He needs to play there. Rangers need to go and get a left back and a starter tomorrow. I'm not saying go and get one quickly so they get in for the Panathinaikos game. Aarons will be fine for that. Next round, though, I want to see a new left back in. I would say after Motherwell.
Yeah, I think there's 3 positions that to me are a standout. What Rangers need: a centre half, a left back, starting centre half, starting left back, and a right winger.
Yeah,
I like Cortez. I've been on the same. I like Cortez. I thought he was okay against Middlesbrough. I thought he worked. One thing I didn't expect him to see was he worked his arse off.
Yeah, and
again, Prod isn't there, but
Martin, I really don't get that.
He's not played.
I really don't get this where people were writing him off because, the manager came out and said, "I wish I'd more like Oscar."
Yeah, the fact he name dropped him in the presser.
People just need to people are just writing off. I don't get it. We'll get into it. I'm going to make a point about it later. I wanted to touch on somebody who I really liked in terms of not just what he did on the ball, but the last player I can remember with this sort of instant impression for me was Glenn Kamara, where you could tell within 2 or 3 touches you're a very good football player, and that was Joe Rothwell. I thought as well, just some of the kind of patterns of play. He was starting a lot of stuff. I think him and Raskin are beginning already. I can see a bit of a kind of student mentor thing where they're just, do you know what I mean? That was just a wee bit of development there. The chemistry will click, but he was loud, and
Yeah.
that I love that in a midfielder. Right, like that to me is a big area Rangers needed. And again, like it's early days. I'm not. It's one game. We'll see what happens. But already within minutes, I was like, he kind of already fits the bill for me in terms of what I want for a kind of sitting midfielder. Somebody that's loud, somebody that's going to actually encourage the players on the park alongside them. Because we need to remember as well, this Rangers midfield is very young. It's going to be very young all season. And if you've got a player like Rothwell who's going to be in there dictating play and encouraging midfielder, and I don't think he's afraid to shoot, because there were a couple of times where I was like, it was Panathinaikos a
He can
big,
put a corner as well.
yeah,
Get some
but
set
his
piece on
delivery's good.
a couple of times, yeah.
He's just a tidy footballer, and I think he's exactly what Rangers have been missing. Like I think he's the sort of player that can do for Rangers what, like, I hope he can do for Rangers what McGregor does for Celtic, where
Yeah.
you don't really like he's not all over the park, but there's like when you need him there, he's there. And I know that sounds extremely simple, but that's what Rangers needed. Rangers haven't had that for probably Davis and Jack. I think fully fit
Yeah.
is the last I can
Yeah.
think of where there's been a player who can just sit there and just dictate proceedings.
Yeah, I remember first half I was putting my group chat. There was two positives in that first half for me. Butland and Rothwell.
Yeah,
Every time Rothwell got the ball, he was carrying it, he was looking forward, he was seeing what his options were. And that is, it sounds so simple, but sometimes the best midfielders are the players who just get the ball and give it to the good players. We haven't had one of them since Ryan Jack. Ryan Jack very good winning the ball back, giving it to Stephen Davis, Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos, someone who's going to get the ball and do something with it. And it sounds so simple, but so effective. And especially in a game like that, where Panathinaikos will probably be, and Panathinaikos would easily finish third in Scotland, comfortably finish third in Scotland.
yeah,
So when you compare them to the rest, compared to the teams we're going to play for the majority of the season, they are up there. They will be up there. Maybe I don't know who we get Europe, whatever else. And having someone like that in a big game, as you said, we've got a very young midfield. It's Rothwell's 30, which is by far the oldest. Then it's Barami at 26.
yeah.
And then it's like Raskin and Diamande who are 22, 23. Asgard's 23. Barnes 22. Cameron's 22. So, bit of experience, bit of dig. And you can see Russell Martin's a big fan of his.
Yeah,
You can tell.
yeah.
Just the way he spoke about him. And he played against him several times. He managed him when he was at Southampton. Manager knows what he's getting with Joe Rothwell, and if it's more like what we saw on Tuesday, then I'm a big fan of his as well.
Yeah, I really liked him. Again, I hope he just gets better with more time, and I think he's a player, the kind of main player I took away from that started. We'll get into maybe the subs that come on. I wanted to touch on Danilo quickly because I did, again, people on Twitter and even a couple of people around me who I didn't get where they were coming from here, because there was a lot of people I spoke to and a lot of people I was listening to criticising Danilo's work rate. And
I didn't see that. I thought his on the ball stuff was pretty poor.
yeah,
But I thought he wasn't strong. He get bullied a lot in the first half. He's not a Dessers or an Hageman who's like strong and stocky, can hold the ball. He's not that, and he really struggled whenever he got the ball. I thought,
I
but
don't think he is
also though, I
physical
thought
though.
he was running about.
Yeah, I thought he was
No,
fine.
he was.
It's more there was very little coming to him. It was like you could tell. Do you remember when Morelos used to just put his arms up in the air, and you just could tell like he's just sulking because there's nothing coming to him? It was sort of like that. And again, like when you have that little service, you can have a kind of night where you're like, what did Danilo do? But there was also a couple of times that even on the ball, I thought I can sort of see something
He had
there.
that one chance at the end of the half, sort of fell to me. They was blocked. I thought, but other than that, I don't remember him doing much.
Yeah, again, it's another position that I think in the next couple of weeks we'll learn more about. Is he the number one option? I don't think so, but I think he will, particularly in like games where you can take the foot off a wee bit. Danilo's going to play a part. Subs that come on, Desama. We'll get into Curtis first, actually. We'll get into Curtis first. Curtis, again, if you'd said to me at half time Finlay Curtis was coming off, I probably wouldn't have been raging.
No. But,
I thought the game passed him by a wee bit. Yeah, I thought
half.
he was out of his depth a wee bit. I thought it was passed him by. And then he produces a moment of quality. And he is going to get minutes. He will be but he will contribute for Rangers this season. And he's already shown, yes, there's inconsistency. He's 18. Do you know what I mean? See people who think every 18-year-old's Wayne Rooney. Like, stop. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nonsense. But you can see what he can do. And it was actually a really nice finish. He took it well. Again, it just lifted the stadium because there was a wee bit of nerves. And I thought that was important. Yeah. And Rangers took the lead and Curtis deserved it. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts again. And he scored him against Middlesbrough as well. So he's definitely got goals in him.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I thought first half he was frustrating me in the first half because there was so much space.
Yeah,
this is kind of going back to the inverted wingers, like left foot pulling the right. Obviously, it worked because that's how he got his goal. But he was trying to cut in instead. It was all space down the line, and obviously there's no real overlapping fullbacks, so that was kind of isolated down there for a bit most of the first half. But I thought the goal just gave him that boost of confidence. I remember after it, he tried to take on 2 or 3 men not long after the goal, and then so he really needed that after his pretty poor first half. And he's not anyone who looks at this and tries to overhype it. I think there's 2 ways you can go with a youngster. You either think he's Wayne Rooney and he should be doing everything, and then you can overhype him, say, no, start Curtis. Curtis should start every game. No, he shouldn't.
No.
Finlay Curtis should get minutes similar minutes to what Ross McCausland got last season. Starts game now and again, comes off the bench and can make an impact.
Yeah.
But Finlay Curtis should not be our starting left winger for Rangers' sake and for his sake.
No. I think we know who the starting left winger is going to be, and Rangers made some changes round about the kind of 75-minute mark. Dessers and Agaman come on. I thought with Dessers and Agaman, Dessers probably, you know where I stand with Dessers. Agaman showed glimpses, but you can tell he's still getting up to speed. Gassama, though, what an introduction.
Talent.
You could tell instantly. And again, like Rothwell and Gassama were the 2 I took away from. Like, you can tell instantly that they're good footballers. And Gassama, 2 or 3 touches, I was like, you're way too good to be at Rangers. Like, he's instantly.
Of players like him. Like, I mean, I think football's gotten very stat orientated, talk about XG, this goals and all this crap. I just want a player that will excite me. A player that will get me the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
And he's much like that. If he's going to beat 2 or 3 men, get a shot off, something like that. Ryan Kent was that, and Gassama looks like he's going to be that. And I pray this is just the start, and he doesn't. How many times have we seen Rangers players have a phenomenal debut and then either gets injured or falls off a cliff form-wise? I just pray he's not that. I thought he was pretty good against Middlesbrough as well. I thought he saw a bit of explosiveness that we saw on Tuesday. And yeah, I mean, boy's a talent. You saw instantly. I think his first time he was on the ball, we scored.
Yeah, it was around about that. Yeah, I mean, just the way he took his touch. I can't remember who played the pass.
I think it was Raskin.
No, but there was a wee bit before the second goal. The second goal was a brilliant bit of work, by the way. It was excellent the way it was done. We'll get into that. Gassama, you can tell where he's been. Do you know what I mean? He's been at PSG. Sheffield Wednesday fan, I saw replied to one of the things we had on Twitter, and it was interesting what he said. He said, "Going to be brilliant and consistent." And a lot of wingers are like that, particularly wingers who don't go for like 40, 50 million quid. There's a reason they don't, is because if you are a consistent winger, you are probably worth 20, 30 million quid easily. So I think there will be moments. I think it'll be similar to Agaman, where there'll be moments of brilliance, but there'll be times where you're like, "What are you doing?" And that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's just if the moments outweigh the bad, and that hasn't happened a lot with Rangers. So already, I think there's two really good bits of recruitment early on when I can tell there's a player there. Bairami came on eventually for Rothwell. Did you see? I was sitting right in front of that actually. I could see that playing out. Bairami just kicking
The
the dugout. I think something to do with socks or something. I heard, but
Yeah, something with the whole. I thought it was from where obviously I'm top of the Govan, so I didn't see what happened. From our point of view, it just looked like Panathinaikos nicked the substitute board and we couldn't bring him on.
I don't.
That's what it looked like from my bit. And then I read, then it was saw something on Twitter or someone sent me or something was about the holes in his
Yeah, it
socks.
was something like that. Yeah, and you know where I'm in that.
I do, I do, no, I do. I touch on Eggman slightly. He's not a winger. If you're going to play Hamza Eggman, play him as a centre forward or don't play him. He wasn't a winger last year.
Nah,
Last year was bad when he was a winger. His best performance came was through the middle. His best in Europe, he got a hat trick against Nice where he played him through the middle, and then he shoved him wide for serial dessers. Got Hamza Eggman's a centre forward. Don't shoehorn him into a position he's not very good at.
I thought initially it was going to be like a 3-5-2. That's what I thought when those three changes were made. I'm like, he's going to play a 3-5-2. He's going to have Aarons and Gassama wing backs. Sort of what we saw in the first half against Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And when he played Wigman outright, I was like you, I was like, didn't work last season. Like, and I can sort of see what he's trying. I can sort of see it was just to get him on and try and kind of spread the game out a bit because, as you say, there wasn't a lot of width. Bairami came on and again just saw the game out. But I thought overall, basically, lots to improve on. Do you know what I mean? It's way too early for this team to be playing Champions League. Like,
Definitely, yeah. Why? Especially after what, one friendly in front of a crowd.
one friendly in front of a crowd. I thought overall, though, positives outweighed the negatives. Like, there are obvious worries about what happens when there's a flat pass and there's 40 yards of space until it gets the goalkeeper. That's probably something we're going to have a lot. Like, for those who don't know, we do a Premier League show and we spoke about that last season with Russell Martin. There was a few goals that came from that. I hope that is something that gets picked up on. But I thought overall, just a couple of kind of things getting into kind of next week as we'll kind of preview the game. I thought the red card was quite important to the overall game.
Yeah,
I think it completely.
It was especially. It wasn't long after the goal.
Yeah,
5 minutes after the first goal, they get a man sent off.
And Rangers got a lift from it as well.
Yeah, and then not long before that, they had I think Butt made another save.
Mm-hmm.
So they were still putting pressure on us. But yeah, I think the goal settled us, and it sort of settled the crowd, settled the team, settled the manager, and it kind of gave them a bit of a shock as well because obviously they were on top. Even on top started for the second half as well, but made another save. But yeah, definitely definitely a lot of positives. Just Sam and Rothwell being the two main ones. Butland looked back to his best, which is another one. I think the best thing to say, all the new signings I thought looked good.
Yeah.
Aaron's one that struggled, but that's because there's no left back. Jigga I thought looked fairly comfortable on the ball. There was that one moment where he ball got nicked off him.
I just thought a really raw centre back who's very physical. Like that's what I thought. And again, if somebody's next to him a bit more experienced, I think. Suter and Jigga, I'm not sure if that's what I want. Can I think?
No, I want centre half signed.
I think a Rothwell type I think is needed. If it is Cody, it's looking doubtful that it's going to be, but I think somebody of that ilk I think is needed. On to Middlesbrough. Very different side that played.
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw that? Because I wasn't at the game. I was bowling. I was 10-pin bowling, not actual bowling. So I saw the team and instantly I was like, that's either giving players an opportunity to maybe get into the side on Wednesday, or it's a message to the director's box of, I need better than this. That's what I took from it.
I thought it was sort of a bit of both.
I think it.
I saw it as.
Yeah.
I think the back five is very strange. Like Baylor Rice at centre half,
Yeah, I
And
don't really know what that's about, to be honest. But not
no,
that
I
I've.
don't. I think that one was a message to the board of please save me. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was just. I thought middle to. I looked at it as a 4-4-2 when I first saw the
that's what I
lineup.
first thought. Or it was like a 4-2-3-1 where like Gentle's just playing off Dessers. That's what I thought it
Yeah,
was.
that kind of thing. But it was a bit. I think the back five, like Kelly, Hutton, Fernandez, Rice, and Jeffy. That doesn't scream
No.
that. No, I think
There's an
that
E
that's a
word.
message to the board.
There's an E word missing in there.
Yeah,
Like
I,
it starts with E and ends with E. There's not a lot of experience in there.
no, and middle to front. I actually quite like a bit like the Panathinaikos game. I think there was like middle to front. I thought there was some good patterns. I thought Cortez looked like I've only seen the highlights. I didn't see the game either, so I've only seen the highlights. And there was a couple moments with like I thought Cortez linked up well. I thought Cortez and Barami linked up fairly well. Barron done what Connor Barron does. Thought Gentles wasn't really involved in much
You can tell though
at all
you can
through
tell
the
though he
game.
was trying. So you can. You know what I mean, is it similar to Curtis? He's a young kid.
Yeah,
The back
but
four was
Dessers
very
didn't really
interesting.
do
Nah,
much.
and again we'll touch on that with Martin's comments because I thought that I took Dessers kind of as
Yeah,
one of the takeaways from that. We'll get into that. Back four again. I want to go to Rangers Twitter. I want to go to a couple of people who were kind of commenting after the game, already saying Fernandez is a dud. Like it's bizarre. It's almost it's almost alarming that people have that view. That why do you do it? What do
but it's
you just
also
what?
not. It's far from surprising.
It's also it's far from
That's the
surprising.
thing.
But my takeaway from that, I don't think Fernandez was particularly great first half. Right, I don't. But he was playing next to Bailey Rice. He had Xander Hutton at the side of him. Two young boys who Xander Hutton is a natural right back, but again, very nervy situation. 7,000 Middlesbrough fans behind them, who were very loud from what I heard.
Fair play to them, by the way.
Yeah,
That's what I've
absolutely.
crying it out.
Absolutely. But you can't judge a player on a friendly against Middlesbrough
No,
with two kids next to him when he's a kid himself.
no,
It's
that.
bizarre.
The
Like,
average age of my back four was like 13.
yeah. And I'm not like saying he's completely great. I haven't seen enough to say that. I don't really judge players until, I don't know, I always say after the first Celtic game. Because I think that gives you a kind of a spec.
Yeah,
Rothwell and Gassama have already made an opinion that they're good football players. I'm not saying they're going to be Rangers greats. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I can tell they're good footballers, and I can tell if they show that on a weekly basis, they will be very good for this club. Fernandez
yeah.
is very raw. It's been a big outlay for Rangers for a young player from League One. Okay, this is going to be a project. There are going to be days he is not going to be Franz Beckenbauer. Okay,
No.
see, instead
I
of
also don't think.
criticising a player in a friendly against Middlesbrough where he's the oldest player in the back four, can we
Yeah.
actually be realistic and go, right, how about let's judge him when he plays against a Kilmarnock, against a Hibs, where he's hopefully going to have an experienced body next to him talking him through the game.
I
It's
also don't
not
think
hard.
this isn't their fault, but I don't think Peterborough fans have helped. By that I mean Peterborough fans were not very complimentary of him when we signed him. I mean there was a guy in Clyde one that said, "Why have you paid £3.5 million for this boy?" And there was a lot of them on Twitter.
But
And I
there's a
think
reason they're
that
on
is made
Twitter.
really
They're on Twitter and not in a boardroom.
I think that I think I said I think I said this on here or another pod. When we signed him, when we sign any player, the first thing I do is look at the fans of the club we bought him from. Luton fans loved Asgard. Leeds fans loved Rothwell. Peterborough fans were not very complimentary of Fernandez. And I saw a lot of them say, "Why have you paid £3.5 million for this boy?" And I think that has played on some fans' mind. If Peterborough fans were big fans of his when we signed him and he put in that performance, I think the opinion of Rangers Twitter of him would be different.
But
But I'm
it's
also
our
with
job
you.
though.
I'm also still with you in the fact of why are you judging this boy off that game?
it's also our job though, as like people who talk about it and analyse it, to not look at Twitter too much. Like it's what we kind of have to do, because like I mean, I remember somebody, I think it was the Hearts game. Do you remember the 5-0 Hearts game where Cortez was electric?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I saw somebody make a comment about Cortez was poor on the ball, and I'm like, why are you like this? Why is that a thing? But it is what it is. It happens on the other side of the city as well. I was more interested with Russell Martin's comments after the game than I was in the actual game itself, because we can probably look at Middlesbrough and say they're maybe at a similar stage Rangers are, where new coach with a very kind of set idea and structure, very different to what they had last season under Michael Carrick. They've got a lot of good players. They've got a lot of good players are bedding in. You can tell I feel the boy Whittaker is a good player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? They're very similar to where Rangers are at the moment, I think, but they have better play. Do you know what I mean? They're better. They probably have a better
Yeah.
wage. But do you know what I mean?
Finished just outside playoffs.
So it's probably a good test for
first.
Rangers. It's probably a good test for Rangers. But Martin made a comment in the press after the game where he basically laid into the warm up, and I thought that was very interesting, because I thought this as well on Tuesday night. I haven't seen a lot of Rangers managers, and I've been going to Ibrox for 22 years. I haven't seen a lot of Rangers managers actually in the middle of the warm up. And
It's very you never really had. It's always the coaches.
and again, that's kind of where that this is a kind of head coach idea, where he's not. Do you know what I mean? He's not in the kind of office before the game. Do you know what I mean? He's not doing that. I was very interested by that, because he basically said that he didn't like the attitude of a couple of players. Now, we're not going to single out, but the kind of two that stuck with me during the game were Jeffy and Dessers. I don't know where you're at, if you maybe saw something different or heard something different, but I think they were the two players. Again, there might be more, but I thought Jeffy, just again, whether he thinks he's going to be the starting left back, or whether I know he was last season, but you've pointed out he played way too much football last year. Dessers was the same, and Dessers, I think, is probably. I think Dessers. I wouldn't. I'll be astonished if Dessers is still here at the end of the window.
I don't know with Dessers about him leaving or not. But you know my opinion. If that was me, I'd sell him tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm already been high.
I also don't think we'll sell both Eggman and Dessers. And right now, Eggman looks most likely to leave.
I'm the opposite. I kind of hope. Well, Eggman, I'm quite.
Oh, hoping, think of doing everything. I hope Eggman stays and Dessers leaves.
Yeah.
But I think there's more rumours about Eggman leaving right now than Dessers. Like the Leo links haven't gone away. Feyenoord came up recently. Everton I saw, but I don't know about Everton because they signed the boy Barry recently.
Yeah.
So I don't think right now. If I was to make a prediction would be Eggman leaves. We sign Turgeman and Dessers stays.
Okay.
That's my prediction. Right now.
It wouldn't be a Rangers podcast already at this stage of the season without a refereeing controversy and step forward John Beaton, who.
Jesus Christ.
This was all I got. Now, for those who don't know, I run the Ref's View podcast as well with Steve Conroy and Des Roach, and within seconds, there was about 10 texts about this. And I had to... Again, it's a friendly... This is another... And again, Russell Martin, welcome to Scotland, because I think if this happens in England, Russell Martin can go to the referee and ask him, what was that about? Maybe not ask him, maybe not be as kind as I've been. Maybe a bit more
amped up.
Yes. He spends the second half in the press box though, because John Beaton can't take any criticism, and he's not the only Scottish referee that, by the way, that is a thing. But I mean, it's laughable. It's again another example of why we're an idiotic nation in this regard.
I was me and my mate were speaking with this. I think the main issue with this is referees rely too much on VAR.
There's that, but you shouldn't need VAR.
I still don't. No,
it's in front of your
face. The boy's playing basketball. He's playing volleyball.
He's either not watching it or doesn't want to make a decision. Now, if he's not watching it, that's a shambles. That's a disgrace. if he doesn't want to give it, it's a friendly. What's he going to be like in a game? What's he going to be like next Saturday? If he gets, I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
think in their head, but sort of go back to the VAR thing. I think in their head, referees are thinking, I don't need to make a decision because VAR can do it for me. If I get
Yeah,
it wrong, I can blame VAR. I don't need to put the blame on me. So he's now used to what, 2 or 3 year of VAR now in Scotland, give or take
it's a
2.5.
friendly.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not used to not having it.
Yeah,
So when there's no VAR, he's like, crap, I need to do something here.
yeah,
I mean,
and
Middlesbrough scored a goal at 1-0.
no, that as
He's
well.
about
Yeah,
4 yards onside.
that as well. Yeah,
Like, it's not just us not getting a penalty. They're a blatant goal that Jeff they playing the boy on. There's a shock.
yeah. Don't be surprised if
And
it
he
comes
just,
up more next
no.
season. Yeah, I think overall decent test. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a friendly. Middlesbrough, I think, are a decent outfit. I think they're probably similar to where Rangers are at in terms of kind of fitness and progression. So, again, they took enough from Middlesbrough to go. They could be decent in the Championship next year. Just a wee bit on outgoings. Martin was asked, obviously, Robin Proper, that deal was finally concluded. Just didn't work out.
Took
Like,
long enough.
just,
He's not a Scottish football player.
nah, he's not. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to 20 and does okay. But
Yeah, I think he
just
will.
another defender who was decent somewhere and wasn't decent in Scotland won't be the first, won't be the last. Incomings. There was a bit of excitement during the week where there was a report coming out by David Ornstein, who we both, I think, probably respect. Probably the most.
Yeah.
I'd probably say we respect the most. Actually, I think
Him
he's better.
and him and Romano,
I think he's
the
better than
two.
Romano because I think like he is actually. He's still a transfer. He's still a journalist, whereas
Like with
Romano's
Romano tweets 14 times a day about the same transfer.
yeah,
Ornstein's very much one and done. If Ornstein tweets something, you read it. There's a lot. I've got both notifications on Twitter, and when I get an Ornstein notification, I'll read it instantly because
yeah.
I know it's something big. But when it's from Romano, it's the same crap all the time because he's verified. He makes money off it.
Yeah, just a wee bit of time to timestamp. England have won Euro 2025. So that's a wee bit of a timestamp for the podcast. So that's where you know where we're at. We're recording this at this point. But yeah, I mean, Rangers had made a bid for Crystal Palace winger Jeresen Rak Saki, who there was reports. There's been reports throughout the summer. Do you know what I mean? It's not been one that just crept up on.
It's not out of the blue.
It was a yeah. There was definite interest there. A bit of a kind of contradiction, not a contradiction, but it was a wee bit of a kind of mixed like report and what the kind of offer was. Report was initially it was a loan with an obligation to buy round about 10 million. Chris Jack had said there was a loan offer with no obligation to buy, and it sort of became this kind of Twitter pissing contest between who do you believe, David Ornstein or Chris Jack, and it's nonsense. Do you know what I mean? I can see
Yeah.
both being right, maybe just in a different way. Where I kind of look at it as, and I looked at, I think it was a Southampton page as well, had this as well. Southampton are interested in buying him outright. So my thinking is Crystal Palace do not want to loan him this summer because they know they can sell him. There will be a team that will buy him this summer.
That's what Sky Sports said.
Yeah,
Sky Sports have said the same thing. Why they rejected the loan is because they just want to sell.
yeah. Then 2 days later, Raksaki gets injured, and
As soon as
sort
your
of
name
a
gets associated with
sort
Rangers
of a
Football Club, you get injured.
sort of a Rangers thing. But overall, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit more movement on that, depending on what the injury is. But there was also reports today as well that Rangers are linked with a move for the go-ahead Eagles winger, Oliver Antman, who I think is valued around about 5-7 million quid. You know how big a fan I am of Dutch football. I watched a wee bit of go-ahead Eagles last season. He's he's a very good finisher, by the way. Very good finisher. He's sort of similar to Gassama.
That's what I want to hear.
That's
That's exactly what I want to hear.
yeah. I would say that's a kind of good comparison. I think Raksaki is probably if there's a choice, I'd probably go with Raksaki. But again, it depends on the fee and things like that. But
I think the sort of vibe I'm getting, I've only seen compilations of both of them. I can't tell you I watched Go Ahead Eagles or Crystal Palace under 21s. But no, he was at Sheffield last year and I thought it was
yeah,
alright. But I get more of a Ryan Kent vibe. Not as
for
explosive
Raksaki, yeah,
from Raksaki, yeah. He's not as explosive as something like a Gassama, but he's a he's fast, but he's also very nimble, very difficult to get off the ball. He's quite. I know. One thing I saw about him, man, he's 6 foot. For a winger being 6 foot, that's exactly what we hear because we said on here, last season we were so small.
I would
Like
be,
we were such a
yeah.
small team overall.
I don't think they'll sign both. I don't think they'll
No, I think
spend.
it will be one of the other.
It'll be one or the other, and I would be surprised if it was maybe like a loan for a youngster or something to kind of fill that gap because I'd be astonished if McCausland isn't away. I don't think McCausland's good enough either. And Asgard can play there as well. So I think that's definitely a position to watch. Probably, I think there will be a bit more of a bit more kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? A wee bit more buzz in the transfer department maybe after Wednesday night. I think that'll maybe determine
That's
where
what I'm
Rangers are
thinking.
at. So I would probably say this time next week we're maybe talking about transfers a bit more. Just one before we touch on Wednesday night. I wanted to touch on something that came out during the week as well. There was an interview with Paul Murray with the Daily Record where he was talking about Andrew Kavanagh. And he said something quite fascinating that I wanted to touch on with you just quickly. He said about Andrew Kavanagh, he was kind of speaking to him quite a lot. And do you remember that Dundee United game last season where, do you remember, was it snow or rain? Remember it was delayed? Remember the game I'm talking
Yes.
about? Well,
Did we not draw
Kavanagh,
one each?
I
It was
think it was a draw.
horrific.
I think it was a draw. Yeah, it was a game. I'm pretty sure it was the first time I heard Clermont. Like it was like, yeah, Clermont's not got it. That was the first. So it was. It
That
kind
was
of
my fault. Yeah, I
gives
didn't
you,
remember this
and
game. Yeah.
it was a game where there was a protest at the game as well, and Kavanagh sat in the Copeland rear that game. He just bought a ticket, and it was going on a wee. It was speaking a wee bit about Kavanagh and what he kind of like, what he's like and things like that. And you have to listen to the interview because I'm not doing it justice, but I am. I really think this guy could be. I really like the sound of him. I've liked what he said and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. I just think for the first time in a long time, Rangers are modern people. I know that sounds really like disrespectful to the old guard, but it just feels like there's people here who are actually like 21st century kind of football people.
The issue with the old guard, like Parks and Stewart and all these people, there was a ceiling to them.
Yeah,
And I think when we won the league, that was their ceiling. And
yeah.
there was I don't think we were ever gonna win more than one league title under the old guard. I think Europa League final was nothing to do with the board. That was pure luck getting that Europa League final. No, from the board's point of view, obviously we deserved to get on the pitch. But I don't think the board had anything to do with us getting to the Europa League final. Because they done nothing in the previous transfer window. And the January window was even worse. It was pure Geo magic was the reason we got to that Europa League final, nothing to do with the board. So I think there was a ceiling there. And now I think there's a much higher ceiling of constant domestic success with this new lot in. Thirlwell, Kavanagh, probably chuck Russell Martin into there. The medical department's had a complete overhaul, which is needed for years. The playing squad's had a complete overhaul, which is needed for years. And the overhaul will continue throughout the summer and in years to come. So I'm cautiously optimistic. And also, Leeds fans rate him very highly as well. Leeds fans rate their whole ownership structure very highly. Maybe not this summer because they've not done much in the window. But as an overall, Leeds fans are very happy with their ownership. And that to me is the most positive thing. I said to you before about signing players. I go to who we're signing them from, and I done the same with the owners. I done the same with Martin. I asked the fans, what's he like? We'll see where we look at from outside looking in. But I asked the fans, Swansea fans, I had a look on forums and what's this guy like? Done the same with players, and I done the same with the owners. And Leeds fans rated this lot very highly. So that gave me a lot of optimism, and I've seen nothing from them so far that's brought that optimism down. Maybe Russell Martin to a slight extent, if I'm completely honest. But on the whole, I haven't seen much from them that'll put that optimism down.
Let's get into Wednesday night. Obviously, big game in terms of again get through this and Europe is secured one way or the other. I think Rangers in a good position here. As you say, it's a really weird league because it's a 2 goal cushion, but it's a very different atmosphere if there's like an early goal for Panathinaikos. I wouldn't be surprised. The only change I could possibly see is maybe maybe Dill out and maybe Cortez
Yeah,
in
I
for
think
that.
because Gassama for Dill, I think it's a stick
Maybe,
on.
yeah, could be, yeah. Overall, though, I think again, I think we've got a real test of where the kind of the different Russell Martin comes in, because this is a game where he will need to kind of shut up shop a wee bit, and
Yeah,
I think this will be a real test of where he is as a coach. So I think I think any result that doesn't result in being eliminated, I'm okay with. I mean, even if it's like a 1-0 defeat, okay, just move on and get to the next game. Like, I'm very much like that at the moment. Take that.
yeah, I'd take yeah. I would take a 1 goal defeat easy. As long as the goal doesn't come early, because I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah,
But
it's already like you don't want to be doing this at the kind of early stages of the kind of
no, I
before August
remember
has even started.
we were in. I went to Red Star. I went over to Belgrade for that game, and we thought we're 3-0 up. We should be fine. And then they scored 5 minutes in,
Yeah,
and I thought, Jesus Christ, this is one of the games. And they battered us the entire first half. We got a bit better when Kent scored and we kind of silenced them, but yeah, I can based on the 900 away fans. This won't be an easy atmosphere because they were absolutely mental for that entire game,
yeah,
and 30,000 of them won't be fun to play against.
yeah.
But I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I'd take a 1-0 draw as well. I can see what's not. I can see just any result that results in Rangers getting through. I'm fine with.
Yeah,
That will do us for this episode. We'll be back next week, mate. We will cover Panathinaikos. We'll have a league game to focus on. It's the start of the league season next week. And to hear more about, obviously, the Panathinaikos game, you can obviously hear us on the post-match report. So stay tuned for that, mate. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
yeah. Thanks for having us, always.
Brilliant. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.